it's okay, cause I'm gon' die for this. I put my mind to this. Watch all these people, how they treat you, got no time for it. I fear no evil, got my demons, I'm just fine with them. And all these people think they know me, it don't matter to me, cause I'm gon' die for this. I put my mind to this. Watch all these people, how they treat you, got no time for it. I fear no evil, got my demons, I'm just fine with them.
All right, everybody, welcome to another episode of the 3 Point Stance podcast presented by Steeler Nation. And we got none other than two-time Super Bowl champion Ike Taylor with us. How you doing, Ike?
Kaleb, how you doing, bro? I'm doing good. What's up with you?
Oh, just living the life. I go back to work here on the 9th. I've been on baby leave for the last, 3 months.
Okay.
So let's kind of, kick this off. You were a 4th-round pick out of Louisiana. When I was Googling all your stats and everything like that because I wanted to compare them to, all these corners from your time and just throughout NFL history, basically.
Right.
And, I mean, you're up there in every single statistical category with, like, the tie laws. I think that was the one I tried to compare you to the most as far as Hall of Famers, because in my opinion, your play was you should be a Hall of Famer. In my opinion, I think you're one of the most underrated corners of this generation. And I think you might agree. I think the interception numbers is probably what hindered that. But I mean, you used to keep that the list of the starting receivers you would blanket in the season in your locker, correct?
Right. So I look at it. Hold on, let me close the door. They clean it.
Yeah.
So I look at it. I look at it like this, Kaleb. Like, yeah, everybody look at the interceptions, but it was an honor for the coaching staff between Coach Cowell, Dick LeBeau, and Coach Tomlin to be like, "Hey, you got so and so this week."
Yeah.
And so was the number 1 receiver. So, of course, my interceptions was going to be down. And granted, I did a lot without catching them picks. It's a lot more picks that I left out on the field, but I'll talk about that later because I think that's pertaining to my son, and I'd rather him have that gene than me. But anyway, when it come down to, like, statistical categories, when nobody doing it like me, I looked up the champ at the time, Champ Bailey. Darrell Reeves, he came after me. I like Darrell Reeves as far as, like, being a technician. Ty Law, Shante Sam. It was a few guys I was just looking at. Al Harris. It was a few guys I was looking at while I was playing was like, dang, these dudes are elite. You know what I'm saying? But as far as, like, my statistical stats, other than interceptions, I did everything you can ask somebody to do as a corner. So I don't know how many people or how many corners can say they played on both sides and they check the team's best receiver. I don't think people know how hard that is. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. To have the trust in your coaching staff and your teammates to be like, man, I can't wait to play so-and-so. I know I ain't going to lock his ass up. Or today's going to be a good matchup. A lot of guys don't want that. A lot of guys, for me to say a shutdown corner, and what that meant to me was, give me the team's best receiver, so I can lock them up. Yeah, that's all I want to do. Like, as long as he's not scoring any touchdowns, at this level they're gonna make their plays, and you can be pissed off all you want to, but sooner or later they're gonna make their plays, and you just got to deal with it, right? Yeah. But from my perspective, what a lockdown corner was to me was you playing the other team's best receiver. And what came with that was they always looking, as an offensive coordinator, he's always looking for that receiver to make a play on the corner. The relationship between the quarterback and the receiver is different when you're a stud and when you're a number 1 receiver. You can throw some of the things out the playbook from a defense or offensive side, when you had a Chad Johnson and the Carson Palmer. You know, you can throw the playbook when you had a Tom Brady and for 1 year Randy Moss. You could throw a lot of things out of the playbook because it was the relationships they had from a quarterback to receiver during crunch times, doing third downs, doing game-winning drives. Like, so people don't understand what it was to be a shutdown, a lockdown corner. A lot of guys can only play on one side because that's what their body is used to. So their body ain't used to turning left if you're on the right side. Your body ain't used to turning right if you play on the right side. So when it comes down to saying the lockdown corner, yeah, it's mental. It's all mental. Your coaching staff and your teammates got to trust you to be able to do it, and it's not for everybody. But then the physicality part, you know, your right side of the brain got to work just as well as your left side of the brain because you're on two different sides. So your right eye got to be just as strong as your left eye, vice versa. Like it's a lot. It's a lot going into it when you want to talk about being a lockdown corner. Okay, have your team ever asked you to play the number one receiver for a span of 6 or 7 years?
Yeah.
So if your team is not asking, if your defense coordinator and your head coach ain't asking you to play the number one receiver for a span of 5 or 6 years, why? If you think you that guy, why?
Yeah.
And that's how I always looked at it, you know. So as I got older, you know, you got to sit down on one side. You know, that's just what it is. Professional sports will always be a young man's sport. You know, and that's gonna be forever. But for me, it was an honor when coach walked past me like, you know, you got this week. I'd be like, yeah, for sure.
How much did your wired up helmet with your music going
Put you in a whole nother world?
Yeah.
Like you ain't it's like mentally doing my helmet the way I did it so I could have my own music inside my helmet. Sundays are very stressful for a lot of people during football season.
Yeah.
So picture how cool your Sundays, how relaxing your Sundays are in the summertime. Just some regular chill. That's how my mind was mentally once I started putting the music in my helmet. It was just like a regular chill. It was like cruising on the beach or on the lake in my old school car with my top down listening to music and it's 75 degrees outside. That's what it was mentally once I started to do that.
That sounds right, because that's the best kind of weather. Mid 70s, around that 70s range. That's the best kind of weather. And if you were in that mindset,
correct.
I mean, I think everybody can say, as far as Steelers fans go, you know, you feel bad for those other receivers that you had to go up against.
Yeah, bro. Like lockdown was me different from a lot of lockdowns.
Yeah.
You know, like if your DC and your head coach don't ask you to lock down the team's best receiver, I'm talking about every game, every play. If they don't ask you, I mean, I get the interceptions. I played a huge part in that. But on the flip side of that, we'll just get to my son. So my son, we just came off a tour. Actually, I just flew into Latrobe. So we did Ohio State, Louisville, Tennessee, Notre Dame was our last stop. But everything I wish I had, he got. You know, and I tell people this all the time. I tip my hat off to the Rooney family. I tip my hat off to Coach Kyle and Coach Tomlin for allowing my son to work in training camp, to train in training camp, to be in the locker room for playoffs, to be in the locker room for Super Bowls, to be around this kind of atmosphere so they can touch, see, feel it, and have memories of it. So the JP Juniors, Joey Boy Juniors, he's a Yenzer. You know, he was born in a 412. So he knows exactly what it is. You ain't got to tell him about no history of the Pittsburgh Steelers. You ain't got to tell him what it is to be a Pittsburgh Steelers. You ain't got to tell him what the stadium like in the playoffs. You ain't got to tell him about the confetti dropping on his head for the Super Bowl. You ain't got to tell him he lived it.
Yep.
You know, with his dad. So it's just it's a story that's getting ready for him now. He just so happened to get drafted
Yeah.
by the Pittsburgh Steelers. You know, so that's what my son the same way. You know, he and my nephews they lived it. So they and they lived during they lived it during the time where all we knew was work and compete. We didn't make excuses. We didn't make excuses. We played hurt. We respected each other. It was a brotherhood. It was love. Like they lived in that era. So that's all they know. They don't know nothing about being selfish. They don't know nothing about whining. They don't know nothing about complaining because they didn't live it. They didn't see it. They didn't breathe it. All they know is, all I know when I put this helmet on, we got to take somebody, we got to take a few souls out of somebody's kids. That's all. Hey, off season, all we know is work. During the season, all we know is work. So it's their mind is different because they came up and they saw it in a different era, which I love it.
Yeah.
So when it comes down to my son, I was a hell of an athlete, Kaleb, hell of an athlete.
418.
My son is a superior. He's a superior athlete. And usually guys who have it so-called made like my son, who don't have to work a day in their life, ain't got to worry about no job, they usually just kick their feet up and just live. But for the Joey Porter Juniors and the Ivan Taylors, and we just left the Jerome Bettis, his son played receiver. He was out in Notre Dame too. Yep. The Jerome Bettis Juniors, to see the work ethic of these kids, to see the grind mode of these kids, to see the yes ma'am, no ma'am, yes sir, no sir, to open up a door for some life, just to see it without even to see it. That's why I say, Kaleb, we came up in a different era. Yeah. So our kids, that's all they know. You know, all they know is hospitality, love somebody better than you love yourself, sacrifice your body for someone else. Like that's all they know, Kenneth. So and that's what it is being the Pittsburgh Steelers. When you get to the Pittsburgh Steelers, it's not about you no more. It's about your brother that you're playing with. Yeah. And some things are gonna hurt. And what I mean by some things are gonna hurt is you're gonna be put in some situations where, you know, it's gonna hurt you, but it's gonna be beneficial for the team. Yeah. And you might not like it, but it teaches you a lot for life lessons. So that's why people, when they want to talk to champions, because that's why I can go to any corporate setting. Take me out of football. The lifestyle I've lived with Pittsburgh, the stuff I had to go through and endure in Pittsburgh at this professional level, it's easy to go corporate because all I know is competition. All I know is adversity. And I tell people, look at this at all times, like, okay, y'all talk about these athletes. Picture you having a corporate job, and they're hiring somebody bigger, stronger, faster, better than you every year. Every year. Yeah. Cheaper. Every year. So how good you have to be on your game? See, y'all, corporate, in a lot of corporate settings, you get to be relaxed. Once you hit a certain level, you get to kick your feet up. For us, we can't kick our feet up. Yeah. So, and that's the picture I try to paint for a lot of people. Like, I'm in the corporate world now, and all I know is grind. I'm in the front office right now, Kaleb, and all I know is grind. Like, my homeboy, I call him my brother. Like, he can't get, like, bro, like, how you comfortable in a twin bed sitting? Like, so he thought it was a prank. I'm like, nah, bro, this is training camp. This is grind mode. Like, this all I know. Yeah. Like, I don't want nothing luxurious. The only time I want something luxurious is when I leave camp and I go home and I'm cool. But right now I'm in work grind mode, bro. So it's a sacrifice. Like this is what a lot of people don't get to see. Like, you know, I was just fortunate enough, you know, Kevin Colbert, we used to call Kevin Colbert, the former GM, the Reaper. And then once you saw Kevin, he came up to your room, kind of asked for your playbook, you know, and pack your stuff. You knew it was time to go. You know, so it's just this football, this professional, this Pittsburgh Steelers mentality, bro. It just sets you mentally ready for life. You know, and sometimes it could go on the dark side. And what I mean by the dark side is like, damn, all I really want to be around is my brothers because don't nobody understand what I'm going through but my brothers.
Yeah.
And that's your teammates. You know, that'd be like the dark side. Just left, we had to bury one of our brothers, Clark Higgins.
Yep.
You know, and to see, we was so deep. We were so deep. We were so deep. You can see it in his family and his friends. Like, okay, we knew y'all was close, but we didn't know y'all was this close.
Yeah.
Like to see all the guys come back and support Clark and to send Clark off the way we need to send him. Like, bro, people couldn't understand it, bro. They couldn't believe it. But so when I say it's a brotherhood, when his son and his daughter, you know, and we end up, it's getting emotional.
Yeah.
So it's like, when we in a group text and we're texting each other and make sure we set money aside for his son and his daughter.
Yeah.
Like, this how deep it is over here. Like, this the real live brotherhood that we have. But yo, it's real over here, bro. It's real over here.
Yeah, I know that those teams back in the day, I know they're continuing that tradition now with this team that everybody was so close. I remember all the stories of like after, you know, a game or whichever, you guys would be out that night all hanging out, everybody. It wasn't just there was no clicks.
It wasn't no such thing. You took the words out of my mouth. So it wasn't no such thing as like clicks. You know, it wasn't no, you know, it was like offensive linemen hanging out with cornerbacks and safeties. You know?
Yeah.
I still remember to this day, we caught Flozell Adams at the end of his career coming from Dallas.
Yep.
Flo was like, me and Flo still chat to this day. Flo was like, so you mean to tell me corners hang out with offensive linemen? I'm like, bro, we do this all the time. Flo, what you talking about? He was like, where I was at, we ain't never do none of this. And Flo, when you walk into the facility on the south side, like every week they have like 5 or 6 pictures up of guys who did pretty damn good in that game. Flo was like, I ain't never had a picture up over there.
Yeah.
And in my head, it's mind-boggling because you be like, damn, Flozell Adams, like one of the best offensive linemen who ever walked the earth, and they couldn't even put a picture up for the week for this man, and he just come here for not even a full year, and he saying he see why we winning, and that's when it just hit me, like we different. But
yeah.
how I also knew it was different when we got Deuce Staley from Philly.
Oh yeah, yeah.
When we got Deuce, and Deuce couldn't believe it. And I'm like, dang, you right down the street, you on the other side of PA. You on the East Coast of PA. He was like, bro, I see why. He said, man, we hear about the so-called brotherhood y'all have, but for me to actually live it and see it and be in the locker room and off the field, I see why. He was like, bro, y'all really do take care of each other. And we really do, Kaleb. Like, so this is just bigger than Pittsburgh. My rookie year, I came off the plane, first thing that Shay Townsend did was give me the keys to his Ford Expedition. Didn't even know him. He said, bro, get lost, don't get in trouble, just figure your way around the city. I know you ain't got a car right now. Just take my car, save your money, and give it to me in the off season. So now that I get corners behind me, what you think I'm supposed to do? The same thing.
Yeah.
So every corner we drafted, who I felt like was a late round draft pick, I did the same thing. Like, bro, take my car. So just take my car, just give it to me. Save your money, give it to me all season. Like this is like it's crazy. This is what when you're a Pittsburgh, like I came up, Kaleb. I came up in the perfect era.
Yeah.
I came up in a perfect locker room. And to hear Dickey coach LeBeau, I mean, he's been coaching and playing for over 65 years. For him to say he's never seen nothing like it, never seen a locker room like it. For him, the Hall of Fame, for him to say it, I've never seen nothing like this ever, a day in my life.
He's writing a book. He's writing a book about it,
bro. For that man to be in football for more than half of his life, really all his life.
Yeah.
65, going on 70 years, bro. Whether it's coaching and playing, 70 years.
Yeah.
I mean, come on. For the man to take his time and have consideration and to write a book on this locker room, for the man to, I mean, they say your child is what the head of the household is, and that was our defense.
Yeah.
Like our defense, you know, a lot of us had a lot of individual goals, Kaleb, and I say this all the time. One of the goals was making sure Dick LeBeau was smiling. That's how much we cared about that man. So you had your individual goals, and right along with that individual goal was make sure you ain't let Dick LeBeau down. That was another one of them goals. He's just one of them kind of humans, you know. So, Papa Dan Rooney, the R.I.P., the great Dan, he's just one of them kind of humans. Dick LeBeau, just one of them kind of humans. Troy Polamalu, just one of them kind of humans. So I tell people all the time, like, my son, just one. I'm fortunate enough to be around angels who's walking the earth. I say that's God's gift to me. Everybody ain't able to say that. So, you know, it started with the Rooney family. Policy door always open. You know, they Papa or Mr. Art know your kid's name, know your wife, girlfriend name. It's small things that people don't think means a lot, and it means a lot. Like, hey, how you know my kid's name? My wife's birthday, my girlfriend's birthday. Like, how you know that? Why would he take the time to even consider knowing out of all this $1 billion business they got going on? Why would he consider knowing anything about little old me? And that's when I was like, yeah, it starts at the top and they're different than that. You know,
yeah,
so
that's why, in my opinion, you know, the Rooney family is the pinnacle when it comes to ownership in the NFL. I mean, the way they've gone about since Chuck Noll as head coach and having two other coaches since Chuck Noll, and the continuity that continues to go that way. And from what it sounds like, you touched on it earlier, Kevin Colbert was the one who was knocking on doors to cut people, if I understood that correctly. He wasn't a runner to go bring him to his office. He was
Colbert different, bro. Like Hall of Fame GM.
Yeah.
Like different. And, you know, just fortunate for me, him and I had a good relationship. Like, I always had an eye. I thought I wanted to be a GM until I really got into it. I really wanted to be a director of college scouts. And I always had an eye for talent. Always.
Yeah.
Always. And Colbert saw that. You know, they let me sit in as an active player. They let me sit in on meetings and drafts. You feel me? So now they just hired me officially, you know, the past 2 years to do it. But Omar didn't have to hold his word. Omar told me when I retired, he was like, look, bro, if I get a job, be ready. And you just hear people talking like, all right, cool.
Yeah.
Omar wind up getting a job and putting me on.
It was like a week
So
after too, wasn't it?
yeah.
Yeah.
So it's like, so how you want me to act? Like for this man to stick to his word, Omar Khan we're talking about, the GM. For this man to stick to his word, I gotta give him every little drop I have.
Yeah.
I gotta prove. I'm gonna prove to myself. I ain't worrying about me. I gotta prove to this man every time he have me or give me something to do. I gotta prove why he hired me
Yeah.
to anybody in the world. And for me to jump in, this is like, bro, I'm about to be the best, and all I know is competing. So if you think you're a good scout, come holler at me. Let's see. Let's go notes for notes. And I'm a marathon ass dude. Like you might like a guy, he might take off on 2 or 3 years. The guys I like, they're gonna be Hall of Famers, and it's gonna be like, how in the hell did you see this? And I'm not gonna tell you my secret to the sauce. You feel me? If you want to make it harder than what it should be, have at it. I do know one thing, though, Kaleb. When I see something, I don't change my mind.
Yeah.
So you're not going to dictate. I'm not listening to nobody else's opinion because I've seen it too often. I've seen greatness too often. I've seen guys statistically or athletically who are not going to run a good 40, who's not going to jump the highest, but damn, they just football players.
Yeah.
You feel what I'm saying? Jerry
Yeah.
Rice was just a football player. He won't run in no 4.3. Even at one point, AB coming out of college, AB won't run in 4.4s. You put a helmet and shoulder pads on AB. You know what you do? He's gonna
Greatest
give you a
receiver of
6 year
all time.
period. He's gonna give you a 6 year run. Probably one of the best 6 year runs out of any receiver that ever touched the NFL.
Yeah.
That's what he do. So, and we see only a few of us saw this while we played. We knew it was a good draft pick. We knew when it wasn't a good draft pick. We knew who was going to last 10 years. We knew who was going to last 2 weeks, 2 months, 2 years. Because you be around and you see it. And that's what I like about being a Steeler. You acknowledge greatness when you see it. You don't run for him. You don't fight him. You don't think you're better than. You ride the coattail. When I saw Troy Polamalu on the field, I said, oh, I'm going to be here as long as he's here. Because this dude way better than me. He just so happened to play a different position. But this dude is different. And you just ride the coattail.
Yeah.
So that's when you see greatness, bro, you acknowledge it. And for me, I just been fortunate enough, to be around, Hall of Fame owners, a Hall of Fame GM, Hall of Fame coaches, and Hall of Fame players, like in one setting. All I've been around is HOF. And it started at the top.
Yeah.
GM, owner, both of my coaches. Coach Tomlin going to the Hall of Fame. Coach Kyle already there. Dick LeBeau, Russ Grimm, Munchak. So that's 2 offensive line coaches.
Yep.
Hall of Fame. So I done named 5 non-playing guys at some point in time. They didn't play with me, but they probably have played. 2 coaches and the owner, right?
Mm-hmm.
We ain't even talking about Big Ben, Troy Polamalu, James Harrison, Joey Porter, Hines Ward, Alan Faneca, who's already in there. Like Marquise Pound. We ain't even talking about James Harrison and Aaron Smith. They just got into the Hall of Fame in honor for the Pittsburgh Steelers. Like we ain't even talking about that part. We ain't even getting into that. We ain't even talking about the Shea Townsend who's been coaching. He's in Chicago right now. He's coaching the DB. Like we're not even getting into nothing. Like listen. I'm going for days talking about the greatness I've been around. So I know, I see, I feel, I know what it look like, man. Cause that's all I've been a part of.
Yeah. Yeah. I was lucky enough, when my dad got me into football, it was 2004, Ben's rookie year. So, all I've seen is, your career, Ben's career, Troy's career. everything transpiring from that point on. I mean, it was just it's different.
I
It's just different.
forgot to mention Jerome Bettis, the
Yeah,
bus stops here. I mean, think about this, Kaleb. And this coming from Joey Porter. Joey Porter, like before the season even started, he was like, "Hey, we gotta send Bussy out right."
yeah,
Before the season even started, like we gotta send Bussy home. Super Bowl is in Detroit. Bussy from Detroit. We gotta send training camp. This is what he talked without Bussy even knowing. And we gotta send Bussy out right.
yeah,
That's just letting you know what it is. The brotherhood of being the Pittsburgh Steelers. And guess what happened? We sent Bussy out right. We sent Bussy out the way a movie producer can't script. Bussy career one off of what his teammates did too. What a Super Bowl was held at in my hometown. And then when they introduced the Pittsburgh Steelers coming out of the tunnel for the Super Bowl, we already talked, which was led by Peasy. When they introduced the Pittsburgh Steelers, everybody fall the F back. Let this man have this moment by himself.
yeah.
Come on, bro. Come on, bro.
Yeah,
Then when the man wins the Super Bowl, when he wins the Super Bowl, he said, "Man, the bus stops here. This is my last stop."
yeah,
Come on, bro.
yeah.
Come on, man.
And I remember after that, like the exit meetings after the AFC Championship in 2004.
Right.
Obviously, it was. I think Bussy's talked about this a few times, where immediately after that championship game, Ben's walking down the tunnel with him. He was like, "Stay one more year. I got you." And then you could just see the emotion. Like Hines Ward, he's got that famous interview, at least amongst Steeler fans in Pittsburgh, where he's bawling his eyes out. We just wanted to do it for him. And like you said, you couldn't write a better movie script. How do you go 15-1 in 2004, and then you come in the next season and you're the first 6 seed to win the Super Bowl, all while trying to do it for Bussy?
And you can't. Hey, Kaleb, bro, you can't. Not the 6. I remember we lost to the Colts. And Coach Kyle, he won't tripping. Usually Coach Kyle be tripping. Like, he be hot. Coach Kyle was like, "We'll be back." He said, "Y'all go out on shower up, get ready. We'll be back. We'll send them in the playoffs, and they'll be in our way to get to where we want to get to in the playoffs." And you just like, okay. If Coach Kyle was saying that, he sees something we don't see right now.
Yeah.
He's looking at it from a coaching standpoint, like, okay, I got the team I need. I seen this team before. We didn't finish the job. I got the team I need now, and I think we're going to finish this job, and that's the Hoyts or Lombardi.
Yeah.
So when coach said that, he won't lie. Then I think we had to win 6 games just to get seeded. And
it started in Chicago.
Chicago, snowy, Hinesfield at the time. Bussy put it on Brian Urlacher, and Brian Urlacher was like the league's MVP. Once he did that, the season took a 180.
Yeah.
And we was in that. We had that Tupac F the world mode. It's Steelers versus your mama.
Yeah.
We didn't care. If you didn't have black or gold on, we didn't care whether your mama, your grandma, your auntie, your uncle, we didn't care who it was. If you wasn't wearing black or gold, and on Sunday, you was in between them two lines, them 2 white lines, it was an issue. And we had it on both ends. And if we felt like you was getting too sporty with your mouth, we'll see in the locker room too.
Yeah.
But we was just that 2005, 16, different.
Yeah.
Different. hey, we can squabble this on or off the field. It don't matter. Matter of fact, we don't really want to fight on the field because everybody's gonna break us up. After we get done, meet me at this location. Bro, I can't script this. I can't script it.
There was I do because Joey Porter was on Bryant McFadden and Pat Pete's podcast not too long ago after Junior was drafted, and he was talking. I think they talked about when you guys went up to the Baltimore Ravens bus.
To the bus.
Yeah.
didn't even. So Porter Pease at the time, he one of the roughest in the league.
Yeah.
Ray at the time, he's one of the roughest in the league. One of Hall of Fame. Ray. I don't know what happened. I don't know what words was exchanged. All I knew was I don't know if Ray felt some kind of way about Peasy, but Peasy was like, damn, bro, I kind of really look up to you. Like, we're never, if you're on the same side as me, I don't care what team you with, we ain't never talking about each other because we understand how hard it is.
Yeah.
And Peasy felt some kind of way. I don't know if Ray told him something. And all I knew was Peasy ain't even have to say nothing. Came in the locker room, took his shoulder pads and his helmet off. And you know how you just read somebody's body language?
Yeah.
Soon as I saw that, I said, "Up, helmet, shoulder pads off." And when he saw, it was a few of us, and he looked back, and they used to call me Young Gunner, and he just looked back and chuckled at me, and that's when he knew, okay, this little dude about whenever.
Yeah.
He said, because I ain't even tell him. Man, ain't nobody say nothing to me. But just growing up how I grew up in New Orleans, at a time between 94 and 98, we was like the murder capital of the world. And there was a very ignorant mindset now that I'm older. Eye contact will get you natural beef. So say like Kaleb, you and I, you walking north and I'm walking south, but we're on the same sidewalk. You give me eye contact, I give you eye contact, and we don't know each other. As soon as we meet up, we swing.
Yeah.
That's how bad it was growing up. Like, I don't know you, you don't know me, you look at me. So that look was in New Orleans, and they still say that to this day, like, oh, I feel played. You thinking you got something soft. Just off a look. Now, very ignorant now that I, think about it. But at the time, that's just, so you just read. It was the concrete jungle when I was growing up. So you don't say much. You just read a lot of body language, And I remember, one of my uncles did a lot of time in the cell in Angola, to be exact. And he said, the mouth will always lie to you, but the body won't.
Yeah.
He said people can say what they want to say. Just read their body language, and that's why I've been a great body language reader, and that's just due to the environment at the time where a lot of people didn't talk or say nothing. You felt and you saw when something was on their mind, whether it was good or bad, So that's all that was, and it helped me out. It helped me a lot out. It helped me a lot in football, just able to read opponents' body language, teammates' body language, coaches' body language. It just helped me out for the world, to be honest with you. But we'll get into talking some training camp stuff, because I know you got some training camp questions too as well. This is my first day back in the building, coming from my son and traveling with these visits. And I say this to tell you, like I told to somebody, Brian, on another podcast, like, what I expect out of guys who I think we draft high is my expectation, so I expect them to do well. When I come into training camp, I look for the sleeper. I always look for somebody who's nobody's talking about, or even can imagine, or even have a shot on making the team. They wind up making the team, contributed. Then 3 years from now, they start, and you be like, dang, well, Ike said so and so, because I got my own podcast. So I always like to catch a sleeper. wherever I go. But this just not even with the Pittsburgh Steelers, just in football in general. I talk about a sleep, even though we're in camp right now. I talk about a sleep that I was talking about coming from Clemson. He played receiver. He just got injured. Justin Ross. He with the Kansas City Chiefs.
Yep.
I've been talking about Justin. I said whenever this man get right, he went to the perfect team. He went to a team who was going to be patient with him. He went to an offensive guru at that head coaching position, also coordinator, and he went to one of the most special wide receivers quarterbacks you can have, and Patrick Mahomes. And I say, man, he couldn't fall. You hear?
Yeah, your screen went black.
Okay. But yeah, Jalen Warren for us, running back.
Yep.
Couple of years ago. He was one of my sleepers.
Yeah.
So I get first it starts off with finishing plays without the pass. Then when the pass come on, you see him get extra 2 and 3 yards, but you see him for 5 days doing this. So this is just him.
Yeah.
Like that. Ain't nothing new about it. So don't talk to me, be like, oh, if this dude, this is his resume. His resume means he's gonna fight for yards because he's in pass. Okay, what's the next thing? Oh, we want to see him do pass protection. Oh, all right, running backs on linebackers. Pass protection, check that off.
Yeah.
So it's like, okay, he didn't check off. All right, let me see him catch out the backfield. Check that box off too. All right, now we want to see him play in the game. Nah, it's too late. See, now y'all adding on stuff. Let me go ahead and look at his college tape. Oh, his college tape said he didn't get the chance, or his offensive coordinator didn't ask for him to come out the backfield. They didn't ask him to pass protect. So while he didn't check these two off right quick, all he needs is opportunity. And once he get on the field, it's about to be a wrap. Before Jalen got hurt, what it was. And once Jalen came back, what it was. So them the kind of guys I like to look at. I like to look at the Levi Wallaces. Nobody ain't talking about, Blase, every time Levi step on the field, he's a football player.
Yep.
Stop looking at the height, size, and speed on whatever you think that position should look like. Just know every time they put the man in, he's closing the games out. So it's a lot of that I'll look at. The guys I expect to do well, I expect them to do well. I'm always looking for a guy who can contribute in a major way that people ain't even talking about.
Yeah, that's Levi was one of my favorite pickups last season, along with James Daniels. But yeah, you talk about obviously we all knew. I think a lot of us knew that the Steelers were pounding the table for Joey Porter once he fell to 32. I think all the hype around them potentially shopping the pick there was no such thing happening, in my opinion. But let's talk about that 7th round guy in Corey Trice a little bit before we dive into training camp, because he's got a similar body style to Joey. They're almost identical in every way of their game.
Yeah. So what Cody?
Excuse me. Can you hear me?
Yeah.
All right. So I don't know if you watched the Errol Spence and Bud Crawford fight this weekend. I'm a huge boxing fan.
Mm-hmm.
There's levels to it.
Yeah.
So even though they got the same kind of body type, and Trice is even bigger than JP Jr.
Yeah.
It's still levels to it. It's levels to it. Growth and development. It's gonna be on Trice on how fast he going to develop to be a professional, on how fast he gets on the field. Right now, it's going to be special teams, and that's JP Jr. too.
Yep.
So they both going to have to contribute in a major way on special teams, But there's levels to this. Just because you got the same body type, it's still in some form or fashion levels to this game at that cornerback position. Will put JP Jr. ahead of a lot of people just in general. As a corner was, I've been around this since I've been in the NFL environment since I was a baby. That's what put, so for him it's probably for Joey Porter, JP Jr. and Cody and CT, for them it's probably the speed of the game, Right now, it's just the speed of the game right now. And they'll slow down. The faster it slows down for them, the faster we'll be better off as a secondary, as a team, as an organization. One of them gonna get it faster than the other. But if both of them get it at the same time, that's a bonus. But it usually don't work like that. But yeah, it's levels. It's that Bud Crawford. It's that Errol Spence. Both of them good. Errol Spence is a hell of a boxer. Bud is a hell of a boxer. CT is a hell of a corner. JP is a hell of a corner. But it's still levels to it. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So that's how I look at it. But the faster them two can get on board, the better off we'll be as an organization and teams, which shouldn't be a problem.
Yeah, and what better way to get to those levels than having a mentor like future Hall of Famer Pat Pete.
And Pat Pete was what Deshae Townsend was to me. Pat Pete was what Joe Hayden was a couple of years ago to a young secondary, and that's what Pittsburgh do. You got a future gold jacket who JP Jr. and Cody Trice was looking at in college. Why in college they was looking at him in the NFL. In college they was looking at him in middle school. So Pat Pete been that guy since the LSU days.
Yep.
You know what I'm saying? So it's like, dang, I didn't watch Pat Pete shut down the Julios and the AJ Greens. Then after that, he did punt return on a big stage for LSU. Now he's a first-round draft pick for the Arizona Cardinals. We see what he do with the Arizona Cardinals. Okay, he go to Minnesota, play a stint in Minnesota. He doing his thing. Now he's in my locker room. Now he's in my meeting room. So I get to pick his brain and see how the hell he's been successful for that long. He's a coach on the field.
Yeah.
And when you got a guy like that who can play slot, outside and safety, they don't come around often, so it gives you as a coach time to develop your two young studs.
Yeah.
Because you got a guy. And if one of them develop faster than the other, now I can move this Jenga piece in the secondary because he's seasoned and he's veteran enough and he understands football. He's seen enough football to be like, all right, coach, where you want to put me at this week? So it's just a guy like him is just good for young guys, like a Joey Porter and a CT, so.
Yeah, before we kick off into this onto this year's team, your camera, I think, is off.
My camera is off?
Yeah.
All right, hold on. I might need to hit it. Let me see.
There you go. Okay. There you are.
It's on now?
Yeah, you're good now. Yeah, there was like a 5-minute span where your camera was off, but you were in the flow of things, so I was like, I'm gonna let it ride.
Okay.
Yeah. So, yeah, I mean, what's your thoughts on this year's team between like the growth of Kenny, the addition of Allen Robinson, Calvin Austin coming back with his wheels, and it looks like he's back to full speed after his injury last year. I mean, there's a lot of promise amongst this offensive unit, and then we can kick into the defensive unit after that.
Yeah, this is my first day. Like for me mentally, seeing the way the front office moving Omar and his staff and us, seeing the way he's been aggressive in the offseason, which is unorthodox for the Pittsburgh Steelers.
Yeah.
But what I will say about waited 21 years to get in this position, so he understands exactly what it is to be in a Pittsburgh Steelers front office, whether it's under Kevin Colbert, Coach Kyle, Mike T. And he was O was the contract guy.
Yeah.
So you're getting the best of both worlds in one GM. He can pretty much do it all. He just like my son and myself and JP Jr. He know what it is to be a Pittsburgh Steelers. He done seen he done seen the locker get orchestrated before
Yeah.
on what it should look like to win Lombardis. You know, what the personnel should look, what the body type should look like. You know, he didn't seen all this before. So the moves I see him making, I'm like, in my mind, my personal opinion, like, ready to win right now.
Yeah. That's the feeling we all have seeing what he's doing.
It's from the outside looking in, it'll be a far stretch. People they won't be able to see it till it's too late.
Yeah.
So just watching the way O is moving, you know, it's very strategic, but he knows exactly what a locker room from a personnel standpoint should look like.
Yeah.
He waited 21 years. So he know exactly from a personnel standpoint on how that locker room should look like. And I just be sitting back, Kaleb, because I'm like, dang, this man waited for this. He waited for his moment, and he's taking full advantage. I watched this man on draft day. Watch him get in a whole different, them 3 days, he got in a whole different mode. And a few of the higher ups had to respect his decision because what he said, he meant it, and you felt it.
Yeah.
So I'm sitting on draft day, like, I don't even know this dude. Like, what in the world this dude has become? And I text O after the draft. I say, bro, I'm just so proud of you. It was like, I said, first of all, I'm proud of you, you know, completing your first full draft. Like, I say, bro, but you turned into a monster on them 3 days, bro. I said, you don't know it, but I saw it. Your decision making was either y'all fucking with me or y'all not.
Yeah.
But this what the fuck I'm doing. He didn't say it. You could just see in all his strategic decision making, like, we need to get there as soon as possible. And these are the moves I'm making without saying it.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh my gosh. I'm like, I'm saying to myself, Caleb, like I've been knowing Omar for 23 years, but I really don't know him right now. Like he done turned into the Hulk ASAP. But I see his vision.
Yeah.
He's my pay grade, his pay grade, way two different people, but I see his vision.
Yeah.
Because I've been on it. I've played it. I've seen it. I smelt it. I live it. He's orchestrating it.
Yeah, I mean, it all started with, no disrespect to Chase Claypool, but being able to get a draft pick that it was even higher than what Claypool was selected at.
Listen.
Like, that's uncommon in this day. Like, we got a 4th and a 6th for Antonio Brown, one of the greatest receivers ever. And then we basically got the first round pick because the Dolphins forfeited their pick.
Yeah. I mean, when you got a guy, that's what I'm saying. You're getting a Swiss Army knife when you talk about Omar Khan.
Yeah.
You know, the dude was in charge of the money before he was a part of, being in the front office. You know, sitting under Kevin Colbert, Coach T, and Coach Tomlin, and sitting with Hall of Fame position coaches. You know, on what they like, what they don't like. Like that's what I'm saying, Caleb. Like he knows like I'm seeing it because I'm like people don't like when they say Omar Khan. You know, Omar Khan been around greatness just as long as I have. I think he was a year or two before me. We
Yeah.
just so happen to be from the same city. You know, he's a New Orleans guy. I'm a New Orleans guy. So, but I mean, he's a youngster, bro. Like, to be
Yeah.
somewhere for 20 years, that's I've been in Pittsburgh 20. That's half my life.
Yeah.
So that's all I know. All I know is 412.
Yeah.
That's all I know. Like
That's all I ever see you wearing is 412 attire.
Oh, that's all I know.
Yeah.
Like, you know what I'm saying? Like so it's just, but then to put that on top of being a Steeler, it's a totally different person.
Yeah.
Like, okay, you lived in a 412, but you played for the Steelers and won.
Yeah.
Yes. Oh, that's a little bit different. That's a different level. Yes, it is. You know, so and Coach T, I think he summed it up, and I gotta go after this. Coach T summed it up in a perfect. When you win Super Bowls in Pittsburgh, you're on scholarship for life.
Yeah.
The man ain't. Just look at the 70. Look at the 70 Steelers.
Yeah.
Who still get love in 2023.
Yeah.
Who made Pittsburgh home from the 70s. You know, so Coach T ain't lying. The man ain't lying. It's only a few who can say they are Pittsburgh Steelers head coach. He just won the 3.
Yeah.
You know, and that says a lot about the organization. F what the world is doing. There's only one team in Pittsburgh. It's only one team in football, and that's Pittsburgh.
100%.
Like when you're a Pittsburgh Steelers head coach, you know, you see with the Rooney family and the higher ups on how they think, they don't listen to what the world is doing because we're in our own bubble.
Yeah.
We don't let y'all dictate. We dictate to y'all. You know, and that's what I love about the Pittsburgh Steelers. You know, on how I look at it, how my son and how they talk in this generation, we apply pressure. That's all we do is apply pressure, whether you want it or not. You ain't got to get used to it. You ain't got to like it. But you know, just being a Pittsburgh Steeler, all we're applying is pressure. That's all we're applying. So
Yeah.
that's what I love about it, dude.
Well, I'll tell you one thing. This has been one of the most fun interviews that I've been able to personally do. You made my job really easy today with you. You were just able to go on your stories, and it just makes it easy for me. So I appreciate you. I will need you to stay back after we end this to let the files upload real quick. But man, what a great episode with 2-time Super Bowl champ, current member of the scouting department, Ike Taylor.
Yeah,
anything to say before we head out?
Yeah, Caleb, I appreciate the invite, bro. Been a hell of an interview. Thanks for just letting me flow. I kind of knew the kind of questions you probably wanted to ask me, so I was just like, let me just knock them all out in one session. That session took us 58 minutes and counting, which is a good thing. That mean we was Bruce Lee, man. We was being like water, you know. So that's all we was doing. But bro, I appreciate the invite, bro. Hell of a show.
Yeah, we like to Trey said we had Trey Essex on a while ago, and he was like, this show is like, it doesn't really, we try not to have a script or anything like that. We try and let it have like that locker room feel where it just, you know, it can carry on for 30 minutes, it can carry on for an hour, you know. So that's kind of what I pride myself on. I like having I want everybody to enjoy their time. I don't want too much pressure on anybody to have to feel like they have to answer a certain way. So again, You're one of my all-time favorite players.
Appreciate you.
Everything like that. Again, one of the most underrated corners of this generation. So with that, that's the end of the 3 Point Stance episode with Ike Taylor.